Thank you to my newest patron, The Wicked Soul. I appreciate your support, and I look forward to helping you with your writing. And as always, you can reach me with any questions, concerns, or suggestions via Patreon PM, on Minds.com, or on Twitter at A Helping Hand for Me. Every dollar helps, every dollar is appreciated, and every pledge of $10 or more will earn you a permanent spot in my video credits. Welcome to another hand that guides the pen. Last time I covered the first season of The Magicians, link in the description. Between what I said in that review, and any of you familiar with my work, you will know that my preferred genres as both a writer and for personal entertainment are horror and science fiction. That said, today's item is a credit to both genres, wildly entertaining, and a personal inspiration to me as a creator. And in highly recommending this series, I will say now that I also recommend watching all 3 seasons in their entirety before watching this review. In this video, I will only be covering one particular episode, and its vignette style of presentation will leave any spoilers contained to that episode alone, but there will be spoilers. And this series is best experienced without any expectations either in context or in concept. Charlie Brooker's Black Mirror, having first aired on British Channel 4 in 2011, is a short series of disturbing science fiction short films depicting a plausible and unnerving future enhanced with technologies we have nearly conceived, yet for which we may not be ready. The series title, though I've never heard remark on it from the writer himself, is appropriately symbolic. The growth of technology will undoubtedly invoke waves of profound introspection, a dark mirror that will let us gaze on our true nature, and we may not like what we see. This series is masterfully presented with smart casting and aesthetic choices, and with clever plot devices. But where it really shines is in its uncanny ability to put a powerful spin of dread on the concept of technological innovation, tantalizing our fears rather than our sense of wonder, simply by forcing us to observe the potential consequences through concepts with which we are already intimately familiar. While I wouldn't think to call it a deliberate attempt at horror per se, it is still a testament to the finer aspects of that genre all the same, because true horror has never been in the laziness and cheap thrills of jump scares and hack and slash. It has always been in the subtle use of psychology, in the unseen, and the disturbing. The things that truly scare us are those things that take away that happy place in our heads, and the ability to tell ourselves that everything will be alright when what we see in front of us tells us otherwise. Season 2, Episode 4, entitled White Christmas, is by far my favorite episode. It showcases all of the best qualities of this series across 3 separate scenarios bound together with one central plot. The episode opens with Matt, cheerily preparing a modest feast of roasted potatoes and wine to festive Christmas tunes, much to the chagrin of Potter, his evident partner in a nondescript, lonely job at some nondescript Arctic facility. The Christmas spirit is Matt's excuse for coaxing Potter into a conversation for what is apparently the first time in their 5-year tenure, and thus relay their respective tales explaining why they chose this willing exile over a normal life of regular social contact. As we ease into Matt's tale, the smart casting and clever writing begin complementing each other right away, first and foremost with actor Jon Hamm. This actor's propensity for witty banter and for conveying the demeanor of a warm and charismatic conversationalist serve to both inspire intrigue and drive the plot forward in a compelling way. And when things turn dark, and he never drops that same nonchalant tone with which he opens the episode, it provides insight into how truly twisted his character is. We are then introduced to Harry, played by Ramses Hardiker, whose narrow build and soulful expression immediately earn him our sympathy as Matt plays the unseen guide on his search for a romantic encounter as an awkward, if intelligent, single young man. He is contrasted by a peanut gallery of 8 aliased young men along for the ride on livestream, a gathering of stark variation in both tone and appearance, and their commentary amounts to little more than a scathing barrage of taunts that make it clear that they're only there for the entertainment value, either in his spectacular failure or his erotic success. Along with the smart choice of consistently tight and claustrophobic shots on Harry's face, all of this serves to isolate Harry as a sympathetic figure, dancing on the strings of a shameless puppeteer who lacks both his nervous apprehension and his emotional gravity for the situation, a desperate deal with a conniving devil. Each minor character introduced from here on serves a specific function in ushering this poor kid towards a tragic end, and serves it with great efficiency and precision. Particularly the sunny, lively blonde who Harry first approaches to generate interest from his real target, Jennifer, a creature marked by jagged edges of cold indifference, draped in muted colors both in appearance and personality, and is to be the worst and last decision of his life. Harry's interaction with Jennifer is where the writing really shows its flair, as a subtle miscommunication spirals out of control. Clever execution of not only word choice but of inflection weaves heavy foreshadowing between the overtones of casual confusion and meaning as forced small talk opens up to Jennifer's revealing confession of her mental illness, expressing her desire to check out, and the taunting of inner voices telling her to just do it. As a viewer familiar with the show, and led faithfully by the grave sense of exile inherent in the episode's introduction, you already know precisely where this is going. But even in the fatalism in her every word, Harry is focused too heavily on the fantasy of her to understand how broken she is, and Matt is too focused on the shallow nuances of the game to pay heed and truly understand the dark meaning of her words. So when the night comes crashing violently into a passionate murder-suicide and Matt's panic snowballs into an estranged marriage as he runs from the law, Potter's shock thoroughly shakes him from his annoyed silence, but not quite enough yet to prime him to come clean about his own brush with tragedy. So Matt regales us with a second scenario, that of his real job, and our first look into a truly disturbing possible future courtesy of our own technological advancement. To date, even the most powerful supercomputer on Earth could only emulate 1% of the human brain for a single second, which it then took a full 40 minutes to calculate. However, we have been projected to take our first steps in faithfully emulating the entire brain in as little as 2 years, and when we are able to do so affordably, what do you suppose will be the applications of such an advancement? What moral obligations, if any, will we hold toward these digital phantoms? Enter Greta, a 29-year-old woman of noble breed in the hospital for a cutting-edge operation to furnish her with the perfect servant. And who better to serve her than herself? Or, more specifically, a digital copy of her consciousness to maintain her home's automated systems. A copy that intimately knows her every preference. Had she known the full extent of what was to be copied, or the grisly fate that her copy would endure, it's doubtful that she would have gone through with the operation. And only a sociopath like Matt could take the disembodied soul of a person and break it to make it useful. With a brief explanation, and with no sympathy, he uses a simulated environment and a manipulated flow of time to destroy her force of will in a matter of minutes. Minutes which, to her, are made to feel like months. Fearing further torment, Greta's virtual shadow relinquishes her will to the demands of her real self and master. And this is but one application of the technology which this series explores. One more of which we will come to see later in this very episode. Though it is debatable whether such a digital entity could know the emotions of fear, anger, or envy as we know them without the biology of the human nervous system to facilitate them, Charlie Brooker's examination of this concept is a bone-chilling experience that will make you question what it even means to be human. And should such a future come to pass, it would be the sociopaths like Matt who would facilitate it, who would keep such barbaric company secrets, and we may never hear a moral objection from the masses who are kept in the dark. Further, considering our impartial response to the suffering of other living creatures on this planet today, and even other people separated from us by an ocean, it is doubtful that we would feel anything one way or the other even if we knew. This revelation is enough to provoke the awe-stricken Potter into relaying his own tale, the third scenario, and another chilling glimpse into a technology that could condemn us to a dystopian future. In this day and age, social media has set the paradigm of our lives, with abstract shows of appreciation in the form of likes, thumbs up, and shares setting a new standard of popularity and a new disconnected approach to basic human interaction. But with the reemergence of virtual reality since its ill-conceived infancy decades ago, and the birth of augmented reality, what happens when this new form of interaction becomes an overlay atop everything we experience in everyday life? A later episode sees an AR social media platform extrapolated out into a mode of social engineering, whereby those with the lowest social approval rating slip through the cracks as second-class citizens. But it is in Potter's tale where we see the most damning possibility of all, what it would be like to be blocked on that type of platform. Potter's life is thrown into upheaval when the love of his life, Beth, grows cold and distant. When he confronts her over a positive pregnancy test she threw away without telling him, she responds defensively and combatively, opting to block him for his incessant attempts to open a discussion. Through a form of augmented reality and enhanced facial recognition technology, this entails censoring all appearances of his image with a gray silhouette overlay and muffling the sound of his voice until completely unintelligible. Her image and voice are likewise forcibly censored from his perspective, rendering the woman he loved with all his heart into nothing more than an immaterial shadow, and his pleas for her return impotent in their near silence. Potter's every attempt to re-establish contact with Beth is met with hostility as she persists in keeping him at a distance, and when she chooses to have the child, its image is blocked from his eyes from birth. He spends years watching them from the shadows, longing only to know the daughter stolen from him by his estranged love's unyielding cruelty. It is only upon Beth's untimely death that her daughter's image is finally revealed to him, and with it, the stinging truth behind the indiscretion she had never had the integrity to admit in life. The little girl Potter hoped to know was not his at all, but the child of his lost love and a common friend. She was not the daughter he had hoped for, only a symbol of betrayal and of the lie over which he had obsessed for years. Unable to contain his indignation, Potter lashes out in a fit of rage against Beth's father and bludgeons him to death, fleeing in a panic and leaving the innocent child to die. But this damning secret and the years of living in shame prove only to be the beginning of his suffering, as his confession prompts Matt to lower the curtain on an elaborate ruse. This Potter is only a digital copy of the real murderer's consciousness, a copy damned by the real-world interrogators to languish in simulated eons of pensive reflection for the duration of the holiday, tormented by the blaring racket of Christmas tunes that never stop. This final tale effectively illustrates just how badly this sort of mechanic could potentially affect our world. Since the dawn of social media, we have had no shortage of stories detailing jilted lovers turned murderous when they found themselves on the wrong side of a block. And while this approach is no more personal than the standard of blocking we see on sites like Facebook or Twitter today, it is by far more invasive. When a person is no longer even entitled to his or her own pleasant memories, when he or she is reduced to a faceless shadow at the mere touch of a button, it would be much easier to take it personally, and much easier to hurt or kill the one who did it to them, since their own digital silhouette will be stripped of all of its humanity in turn. In conclusion, Charlie Brooker's Black Mirror is a bona fide masterpiece. Every episode has its own clever aesthetic suitable to its theme. Each story is effectively conveyed without a single second of dialogue wasted, giving just enough background context to move the story forward and keep you watching. And while some episodes certainly are stronger than others, I have yet to see a single episode that hasn't stood confidently on its own. Seasons 1 through 3 are currently available on Netflix. I would recommend this series to anyone, particularly those with a love for science fiction, and I hope to see this series continue well into the future. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like what you saw here, have a look at my other videos and leave me your thoughts in the comments. If you support my message, then please like, favorite, and subscribe. If you'd like to help this channel improve, you can reach out to me on Twitter or on Facebook with any suggestions. And if you'd like to support me more directly, please consider following me on Patreon, links in the description. Thanks again, and I'll catch you all in my next video.